Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome. We've got Nick Gibbs here, co-streaming this on all of our channels. Nick Gibbs, Investing Against the Grain. We got Hans Nelson, also co-streaming on his channel, Hans C. Nelson. We're going to talk stock today. Some people are saying that this is a catalyst-filled year. This could actually be the most catalyst Tesla's ever had in this coming year. Let's talk about that. Well, which catalysts might be coming, which ones matter most. All these things happening with Tesla merging, maybe not merging. We'll talk about that too. So let's get started. What's going on, Nick, with the stock today? If you look at it now, it's at $405.
Hey,
It went as low as 300 and something dollar, right? It broke through.
yeah,
390.
hit 399. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on today, a lot. We can talk Tesla specifically first, and I'm sure we'll dive more into this later. But you had the hearing today where Lars represented Tesla, and Waymo and others were there as well to testify. I think there's some interesting. I don't know how much you guys watched of it, but there's some interesting.
A little bit. Yeah.
There's some interesting ignorant remarks of clearly someone who doesn't understand how the FSD systems work. I was a little shocked that Lars didn't, speak up a little bit more. Maybe tell them like you're not understanding how it works. I don't know. I was a little. At the same time, I guess I get it. Like he was probably coached. Like some of these people are just gonna say what they're gonna say. Don't try to win them over. Don't try to get in debate. I'm sure there's some type of coaching like that. But you've got all that news, and then you also have Besant testifying as well, right? And essentially, he's saying that the Fed needs to pivot from being a reactionary and wait to see what the numbers do, then do something kind of Fed to a Fed that can think 2 steps ahead and be proactive rather than reactive constantly. Obviously, there's biases there, of course, but at the same time, when you see like trueflation, this is another reason why we might be selling off here. Trueflation shows that we're under 1% for inflation, which is bad. That's borderline deflation, which we don't want. And at the same time, the Fed's numbers say we have 3 times that amount of inflation. And so there's a risk of a policy error here of waiting too long, which has been the historic norm for the Fed. So you got that into it as well, right? Then you also have the geopolitical, with negotiations falling apart between Iran and the U.S. because of a disagreement of where to meet. I guess Iran wanted to change it last minute, and the U.S. said, no, thank you. Conversation's over. And then as if that was not enough, right? As if that was not enough with everything that's going on. Anthropic today announced a plugin that would essentially is essentially putting all of the software companies back on their heels, where they are going to start creeping into these spaces like where LegalZoom operates. And you're starting to see that's one of the biggest reasons you see the QQQ selling off and just these software companies. You're starting to see where there's going to be fear and uncertainty out there with regards to what's going to happen with the future of these companies that have been valued so high because they have software margins, because they're software companies. And what does this mean? Will they get disrupted? Will they be disrupted by the companies that they need in order to stay relevant? Big questions out there. So all of this today, on top of everything that happened yesterday, market's on a very fear and risk off mode. And that's more
across the board, Nick.
There's one other thing too, but
across the board reduction in stock price everywhere.
Not everywhere. You got spots. Costco's up. That's good. You got Adobe, Netflix. Although Netflix has been taking
Mag 7
shits for a long. No, Mag 7's down. Netflix is the only Mag 7 maybe that's up. Microsoft is up, but again, Microsoft and Netflix have been taking a shellacking for a while now. Even you can even say Costco has. So, Apple's up. Apple's doing good. Apple always does good, right?
Do you guys think that this is going to be an overhang now? I guess everybody's wondering whether or not SpaceX is going to acquire Tesla, or there's going to be some sort of merger, pre-IPO, post-IPO, whatever. But that's going to hang in there for a while. Is that going to hold the stock down, or opposite? People get excited about Tesla and want to buy, but the rumors were all yesterday, and the stock fell. Now you explained really well why there's all sort of other things going on, but just in general, what do you think might happen with that?
I'd love to hear Hans answer that because I'm not really sure I have an opinion on it just yet. I'm sure he does. But just one other thing about the market sell off that is a continuation from what happened the previous day is that we have a new Fed president set to be elected, right? And Warsh is seen as not being what everyone thought Trump was going to put in. Everyone thought Trump was going to put in a lackey,
Mhm.
for lack of better words. But Warsh has been known for being more hawkish, to be honest. And obviously, Trump had to make sure whoever he picked would be someone that would get voted in. So that's part of the calculus. But everyone had been setting up for all these rate cuts, what they were anticipating. Now you see gold, silver, all of it sell off right on overnight, essentially on Sunday and over the weekend, and that has led to the different, like the Chicago Board of Exchange, all these brokerage companies. They're all requiring higher levels of um, of margin collateral in order to hold these type of assets. So you have people who are getting margin call that have to sell. You have people who are just, hey, we rode it to the top. Let's get out of here, selling off. And as everything starts to sell off, the bid ask spread gets wider, right? So it gets harder to get out without taking a loss. And then people need to pay back their margin debt on top of that. And so what do? They sell their Bitcoin, they sell their stocks. So you throw that in there as well. This has just been a just series of domino effects that have just led to right now. But going back to your question, I'm curious. I imagine Hans has a really good point of view on it.
Well, I guess the only comment that I want to make on markets first to start before we get into the actual question is that, it looks like the NASDAQ is down right around 2% right now. And that seems to be consistent with a lot of the Mag 7 stocks outside of Tesla. Some of the higher flying tech stocks like Lemonade and Palantir are down way more. So it looks like Tesla's just kind of down a little bit extra beta. Remember, we did hold up better over the last week as some other things have been sliding with all of the SpaceX news. And so, I don't think like today's roughly 4% move is basically in line with what I would expect. And so then if we take that and then use it to try and answer your question, how does the SpaceX news of, their merger with XAI and then potential of that coming into Tesla, I think there's still enough question marks and uncertainty around what happens next. Is it a SpaceX XAI IPO, just at a much higher valuation, or are they actually, going to merge with Tesla pre-IPO? I think at this stage where we're still so far out, we don't have a lot more news. It probably isn't having a whole lot of impact today. I think, some people are going to be a little bit more excited about it. I think some people are going to be a little bit less excited, and it's going to kind of net out to roughly, like a move that you would expect on a day like today based on how the market overall is behaving. Just general trading over the last few days.
That's a really good point that Hans just made. This isn't company specific. Whether you're a Palantir investor, NVIDIA investor, Tesla investor, Meta investor, whatever, this isn't company specific. This is honestly your dream situation because once things settle down, things should recover because it's not that company you're invested in's problem. Now, maybe for a LegalZoom, it's a little different. Some of the software companies, right? But in general, this is a market sell-off. So that was a good grounding.
Thank you for both of you for saying that. So we're talking about this.
I guess one thing. So I said NASDAQ was down too. One of the other things I meant to say that I forgot was that S&P is down less than 8%, and so it really is like the tech portion that is selling off more. And so like your non-tech stocks are holding up pretty well, versus just a general hawkishness.
Not across the board.
Mostly focused on the tech sector, like Apple kind of notwithstanding, but Apple's not really a normal tech stock anymore. It's its own thing these days.
Yeah. So this question of whether or not SpaceX is going to merge with Tesla is an overhang. People are confused. They don't know what's going to happen. Don't know how long it will take. But there is this one, I think, a crazy idea, but this idea that maybe SpaceX, which is a private company, takes Tesla private.
No.
Well, I know it's a joke.
That's not how it
I know it's a
works.
joke. I
Oh.
know that's not how it works. I'm just trying to
Okay.
set Hans
Yeah.
up, okay?
Oh.
Because earlier this morning, when the stock was hovering around the 420, there was everybody, Tesla shareholders are very familiar with this. If you're a long-term shareholder, you might remember infamous a tweet at that time, because it's still Twitter. Elon, I think he was, maybe he was drinking a little bit or something, but he tweeted something like, Tesla taking Tesla private 420. So what did he say, Hans?
Yeah. Considering
Funding
taking
secured.
Tesla private at $420 per share, and then later
Funding
it was a
secured.
whole different tweet. Yeah, it was funding secured.
So funding secured. So Hans reminded everybody right around here. Wouldn't it be funny if Elon posted out saying taking Tesla private 420 funding secured? That would have been just
That would be
Yeah.
very funny, actually.
would be hilarious.
You guys got to let me
Yeah.
joke next time. I'm sitting here like, no, Herbert, don't say something wrong.
Yeah, that was I posted that yesterday. I was just feeling somewhat triggered emotionally by that emotional
What?
scar from 2018 when,
Hans.
talking about bringing this private company public. I was like, what about all the times when we talked about, well,
Taking
what
it
actually
private?
started it was I was thinking about, man, you know who's got to be kicking themselves in the face right now is the Saudi sovereign wealth fund. That was the one that Elon was talking with.
Just
They had a
close.
chance to own Tesla, and then if they had held it this whole time, what a different world we would live in. Definitely would have sucked for all of us retail shareholders who were invested in it and then got to miss out on all of the growth and all the exceptional things that have happened. But anyways, after thinking about that, I was like, oh, what if instead of Tesla acquiring XAI and SpaceX or merging with them, what if they did it the other way around and XAI and SpaceX were able to merge with Tesla and pull it private, and then Elon was able to have his giant Muskonomy empire and shield it from all the public investment.
All right, we got to reach out to Chinese Elon and ask him to take a picture outside on his car, pass out, saying
Bankrupt.
Tesla pregnant.
420 funding secured.
And you know that that guy who made that decision with the Saudi wealth fund, whoever made that decision, I don't think
They
they're
got
with us
fired.
anymore.
Yeah.
They're
Could have been
gone.
the prince. What are you talking about? All right.
Well, if it was the prince, somebody else as a fall guy still got fired.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't make
You're
the
fired
decision.
for my decision. Heads off.
Is there a movie like that with the Borat guy?
The more, yeah.
Yeah.
Make it pointy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's get to the topic, which is, what is it? I just reported. What's his name? I think it's one of the analysts, Baird. I don't know. I can't remember now. He. I'll look it up here. He said that this is the most catalyst-filled stock. Wolf Research. Emmanuel Rosen, and he said this is Tesla faces a catalyst-rich year ahead. So I just got Chat, Gemini. What am I using now? Claude, Claude Code Opus, to try to come up with the top milestones that's coming here. Look at this. I even have this ability now to create. Look at that gorgeousness. This is Remotion using Claude Code. Look at that, gorgeous.
Nice.
All right,
pretty good.
But let's see how accurate this is. Might be actually off. You got FSD China approval. We kind of heard that might. These are things that are coming. FSD China approval, and even maybe Europe approval. Oh, come on, man, come on. Okay, here. You got Optimus Gen 3 reveal, right? That's supposed to happen in a couple months. Okay, FSD Europe launch. Okay, that's probably true. Cybercab production in April. That sounds right. Robotaxi 5+ cities by first half. Yes, that's listed. Version 14 launch? What? Version 14? What? No.
It must
Okay,
mean
that's
version
completely-
15.
50. This is completely wrong.
Poor Claude.
Whatever. SpaceX
Damn.
IPO sometime
You're
in
so
June. Is that
excited.
a Tesla? Is that a Tesla milestone? Is that a Tesla catalyst? I don't know. That's what I'm asking you guys. AI
Well, it's definitely a
5
catalyst if
chip-
it does IPO. It is a catalyst for the stock to definitely have some volatility.
Yeah. Tesla stock will have volatility if SpaceX IPOs. AI5 chip production, energy megapack factory.
Yeah, that's not this year.
What? It could be.
No.
And 10
We
billion
still
FSD
haven't
miles.
even gotten a final thing from Elon saying that AI5 design is locked. He keeps saying it's almost done, it's almost done, it's almost done. There's no way that we get production on that this year. It probably won't even reach any sort of volume
Yeah.
next year.
Oh, yeah. AI5 chip. No, that's not this year. That is not this year. I totally agree with that.
I also take issue.
I thought you were
with
talking about the
calling most
energy
of these-
megapack factory.
I
That's
take
what I
issue
was
calling
referring
most
to.
of these a catalyst.
What's that?
I said I take issue with calling most of these a catalyst. I don't think
Yeah,
they're
none of them are catalysts, right? They're all
No,
built in.
I wouldn't say none.
Okay, go ahead.
If Robotaxi deploys in 5 cities, I would say that's a catalyst.
Okay.
Like
Wait,
that would.
I
Most of those, I
decided
would
to
say
do this
aren't.
because I heard you, Nick. You had a list of catalysts. Why don't you tell us? Scrap that list. Go start with you.
I did not have a catalyst. I got bamboozled. Randy
Okay.
cornered me with a set of questions he wanted to ask me, and he's like, "You got to ask. You don't have time to think about it. You got to answer now." And I'm a good sport, so I answered. So yeah, that's what happened. I'm
Well,
innocent.
then, what's your answer? Just tell us your freaking
Which
answer.
one? He had so many different ones. I have to remember what they are. Okay. Well, you guys answer. Let's see. One of his questions was, when will we see? What's the latest that we see, or what's the earliest we see Cybercab production actually meaningfully rolling?
What's meaningful?
That's up to
5,000?
you. That's for you to define. I asked the same question. That's for you to define.
I had a viewer share me what happened with Model 3, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's shockingly, this is Model 3 ramp.
Just answer.
Right? It's a norm,
I got a lot of
car.
questions to ask you.
Each week was like 100, 200, very slow for weeks.
Oh, I
and
think that'd be
months.
fast. You don't think that'd be fast?
Well, I guess some people were thinking, "Oh my God, we're going to come out with 1,000 per week right off the bat." That's not going to happen.
Oh no.
This is going to
Like
be very,
I think that's
slow.
where you actually reach. That's exactly the number I was thinking for. That's when you reach meaningful levels of production at 1,000 per week. And then obviously, at full ramp, you should be doing a much, much higher number than that.
Yeah. So let's assume 1,000 a week. I don't think we're going to get there till September.
Wow.
If we start, I think we will likely start in definitely by the end of May. But I think we reach 1,000 a week in July, June, maybe.
Do you think we're gonna have somewhere to put them?
Yeah, I think that they can deploy that level in Texas. Like, I think they're going to be able to deploy most of what they are able to produce in Texas. The question is, so from a regulatory standpoint, the question is the infrastructure, really built out enough to support that many? And yeah, I think they're going to be kind of marrying the ramp of production to, like, sometimes production's going to be the bottleneck and sometimes deployment's going to be the bottleneck, and they'll kind of switch back and forth.
Yeah, that's something that I keep wondering about. Like, it's the question I wish they would have answered or asked. To me, it's like the clearest question that needs to be asked. Like, hey, we understand FSD seems like it's there. We get it. You're going to start production of the Cybercab in April. Great. You already have the Model Ys. There are Robotaxis. We get it. So can you walk us through what's happening behind the scenes with the actual infrastructure to support it? Like, is that the roadblock? What's that look like? What are timelines for that part of the business that we have really heard nothing about? Like that. So
it seemed like Lars and Vibov both, were making points that indicated that they wanted to answer questions like that. That there is a lot of thought and effort that is going into the infrastructure build out side of things. So yeah, I agree. That would have been a great question to ask. but yeah, I think they're somewhat being purposely vague on this because they want to have room to maneuver as the bottleneck ends up moving around from place to place.
Herbert, I'm sorry, I'm taking your whole thing off the rails here. Did you guys watch Shuck's
Not
presentation
yet.
last night? Oh my
Yeah, I
god.
did.
Okay. Hans, I don't want to get into the technicals. There's a lot of very interesting technical things, but one of the interesting comments that Ashok said when talking about unsupervised FSD, he made it sound like they're scaling that right now actively. Like there's many of them. The way he said it, Herbert, you keep me honest, was almost like, yeah, we've taken the driver out of all the cars, which obviously they haven't. But it sounds like they're like, yep, we're good. We're taking drivers out. And that they're probably just stepping it. But so it sounds like they're pretty confident with where they're at with that.
So I've been wondering if, because Elon talked about the 500 and some cars, and then our FSD tracker has like 200 and some cars. I'm wondering if there's, and I think, I'm not the only one wondering this. Other people have had similar thoughts, but if there is kind of a shadow fleet of several hundred vehicles that's just driving around without anyone in the vehicle that's doing this testing.
If that's the case, but then he said 500 for peaks of demand, but then we know that the wait times are pretty atrocious still. So,
yeah.
Are they?
Here's what here's what he actually said.
People said we're getting better.
Not on what you were talking about, Nick, but the part about Cybercab.
Cybercabs, the vehicles that you see here, they are designed for autonomy. They don't have any steering wheel or axle pedal or brake pedals. It's meant for full self-driving only. It's coming later this year. This will have the lowest cost of transportation, even beating public transport, while delivering a premium point-to-point transportation experience for everyone.
He's very well spoken. I like him.
Yes.
Yep.
Shout out to Herbert. I take the conversation off the rails here, and Herbert already has a video ready to go.
I'm ready for everything.
This guy's always prepared.
Everything.
Always. I've done this so many times, you Herbert, and every time you're like, oh yeah, this. I'm like,
ready.
Yes,
What's thoughts on what he just said, though? I mean,
well, I think
specifically designed for autonomy.
To your point, those sound like very well defined things that he's talking about, and he's very well spoken in communicating them. I think those are the actual specific mission objectives of the Cybercab project that are, those are agreed upon.
Lowest
those
cost.
were defined by Elon and the team together. And then those are the exact missions that they are pursuing. We want point-to-point transportation that costs less than the cost of public transportation today, premium experience, and we want it to be, completely autonomous. And obviously they're rolling it out this year. That all of those things are part of the explicit objectives, and they are, we're just getting so close. And with version 14 at the state that it's at right now, that we can all experience. Assuming that you guys both have 14.2.2.4 right now,
yeah,
it's so good. Yeah, I'm excited, and just hats off to Ashok. Has been such an incredible leader of that team for so long, and the work that they have put in, the progress that they've made, being able to cross this finish line. Like, we've already had so many great things that we've talked about here on this podcast. You've talked about them, Herbert, and you've talked about them too, Nick. But like the coast to coast drives, getting actual driverless and safety monitorless rides in Austin, all these things. It's like, yeah, we're there. And when he says that we're going to deliver these experiences this year, that's going to happen. Like, these are big catalysts, and that's the biggest shift. I think overall the business for the general narrative in the markets is, hey, AI is a big thing. And I think this year is going to really have two huge narratives around two vertical applications. One of them is going to be AI agents, obviously, and then the other one is going to be AI powered logistics. and Tesla is going to be a big part of that autonomous logistics story with the Cybertruck. I mean, with the Tesla Semi and with the Cybercab.
Are you expecting the Semi to come out as autonomous right off the bat? I wasn't expecting that.
That's going to be part of the narrative as they are selling this in volume. That they're going to be talking about, hey, like, look at what Cybercab can do. We're shipping all these trucks, and all these trucks are going to be autonomous, and they will debut some sort of AI features that show you the progress that they've made on the FSD stack on the Semi, whether it's platooning or automatic parking or something to this nature. I mean, just think about the ability of the FSD stack to make a Gaussian splat like map of a parking lot as it comes in, and then even when it cannot see the dock, to actually be able to maneuver and park.
Video. You're gonna love it. Just wait. Remember this moment. Everything you just said. You're gonna love it when you watch it.
Well, I mean, these are the things that obviously they can do, and of course, of course, you want the Semi to be able to park incredibly well. Better than the majority.
To see FSD do one of those like crazy back and turns, that'd be so bad.
Oh yeah,
giant Semi. Yeah.
I managed a distribution logistics company with my in-laws for a while, and so I've seen like all varieties of skills of Semi drivers, and the ones that come in and it takes them 15 minutes to finally get parked, and the ones that just like 30 seconds, just bloop bloop, bloop and they're done. And right now that we have such a shortage of experienced, professional, competent truck drivers, being able to say, hey, now it doesn't matter, how good your truck driving supervisor is at that parking job. Like, the truck's just going to do that. Like, that is going to be a huge value proposition to tons and tons of logistics companies. Even if that's the only feature that Tesla delivers that's autonomous in the short term, just that one thing is a huge selling point, because it can save tons of time, especially for the ones that are doing, like, some of these things are doing 20 stops a day. And if you can save
time, it's the deflationary effects of it too, right? Yep. Like that for the everyday person, like everyone benefits from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like transportation costs are part of the inflation that we have all been suffering from over the past few years. And if we can make a meaningful dent in that, then pricing for every product that we buy at every grocery store, every big box store, all of that stuff comes down.
Yeah. And then, I mean, if you just think about, like, it's interesting because they were having the hearing today about, what happens with all the Uber drivers and the truck drivers that go out of business. And it's like, well, maybe with other people's solutions, but first of all, most trucking companies are small business companies, like people who own the rigs themselves and they drive it. So imagine someone can own the rig, but they don't have to drive it. They just have to operate it, right? They manage it, or better be said. And then with all the Uber drivers, well, they can still have it and they can put their vehicle in the fleet, right? So like Tesla, I think, is on the forefront of thinking about those problems by making sure that the everyday Uber driver still has a solution. I don't know. I'm bullish about Tesla's approach. I wish they would have made a stronger argument about that too during the hearing.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that hearing. I didn't have a lot of time, but Laura's was, and then the Waymo guy, they were being asked. First of all, I thought that, I don't know who the senator was that was asking the questions at the beginning.
Oh, there's a bunch. Yeah.
There was a bunch, but the one that I was watching, he was leading them. He was like, he was all on board already. He was just trying to give the chance for these guys to explain, that it is safer. He was kind of like, his questions are very leading. So I thought that, okay, that guy's a done deal. He's not trying to, gotcha or anything right. But you're right. There was another section where they just don't even understand what's actually happening. What citing things that happened in 2016 instead of something that's recent.
Exactly. it's almost embarrassing that they are our leaders. It's embarrassing that someone like that has a position in that type of seat and can be so woefully ignorant about the thing they're talking about. Like, I don't expect every congressman, woman to senator to understand how FSD works. But if you're on that committee
Yeah.
for that
You're in this
hearing,
committee. Yes.
like
Studied it up a
that's
bit.
yeah, it's embarrassing. Not study, go experience it.
Mm.
How, like it's like being a food critic and you never tried the food.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least the hearing is happening. Okay.
That's true. I think it's a
Okay.
formality. I
Yeah,
think they're just
it's a
going through the
formality.
motions, formality, so that they can get
It can be
through.
approved. So that was good. Ashok was out there talking about this. One comment he did make, which and flew through the radar. He said something like, it's the intelligence that matter, not the sensors, and the vision is actually much more powerful than you think. But just the idea that it's like we understand the context so much better. There's no need for extra sensors. It's the intelligence that we've got. So, it's like just a few things like this has to be said. Just say it so that everyone else can just stop it. Stop the debate already. Enough. It's over.
Yeah, this one lady tried to sound smart when talking to Waymo, and she was like, cameras can, if they're not calibrating, they're off by 0.2. Doesn't give a unit, just says 0.2. If they're off, no idea what that 0.2 is, but if they're off by 0.2, it could cause severe accidents and all this. What are you guys doing to make sure that the vehicles are properly calibrated? What does the user of the Waymo do when they're in a ride? Do they get told, "Hey, take the vehicle to a tech station or whatever"? And it's like, okay, first of all, the rider would never do any of that. And then secondly, the guy from Waymo was like, "Yeah, all that happens in real time." And she's like, "Yeah, but what happens? Like, how frequently are you calibrating?" And they're like, "It
Real time.
happens in real time." And she's like, "Okay, I just think the calibration needs to be a really important part." It's like, dude, you are living the analog days.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Are we going to go back to Catalyst or let's see?
Well, yeah, I
so
mean,
you
again, don't put me on the spot here because I don't
Subracab is a
remember
big
all
one.
the
I agree with
questions.
you. 1,000 per week. I said September, July. Hans said July. Did you have a date that you think?
Well, I think what I told him, the catalyst around there wasn't necessarily just cyber. He might have been talking about robotaxis. I forget, but I told him the catalyst starts when we have at least one other city that's getting added to it, just one, but it's one other city's added, and in Austin, we see it where you can hail a robotaxi at the same with the same amount of wait time as Uber, if not better. If you just get those two together, another city starting to go, and then that's the experience in Austin, I think that's all you need. That's it. You do that, and I think that's the catalyst that we need to see because then it's like, all right, they figured this out. And now it's going to go faster and faster from here.
Yeah, I think there are really two different sets of catalysts when it comes to the way that the market is going to look at robotaxi specifically. And it's just because this is the way that people tend to think. And Elon has talked about this lots of times, but thinking by analogy instead of from first principles, that everyone is going to assume that robotaxi is like Waymo except less, or like Uber except less, until they prove better, different, faster, whatever it is. And so, once we can reach a fleet size, like I think there are a couple of different milestones for each one. For Waymo, a fleet size that is at or above Waymo's fleet size is one huge data point. Miles or rides per day is another one. Cumulative miles driven, like all of those types of metrics will show, hey, Tesla has surpassed Waymo in the operational milestones. If we can do that, or not if, when we do that, which I think will happen somewhere towards the beginning of 2027. It could be as early as the end of this year. It could be sometime early next year, maybe on the far end, late into first half of next year. having all of those different things met. That will basically shatter, the markets, any narrative around Waymo being a peer competitor of Tesla Robotaxi. And then on the Uber standpoint, if we can just show that this is expanding significantly faster than Uber expanded at their launch point, that we're penetrating markets, we're taking away share from Uber in the markets where we compete in, and that we're growing markets faster than Uber grew markets in the early days. I think all of those types of milestones will also, the Uber comparison will persist on a lot longer because they're a lot bigger than Waymo, but a lot of those milestones will go a long way to putting the Uber narrative to rest as well.
Hans, I'm curious, just if we can linger on that for a second. The way I think about it is that I think the Uber narrative will die out before the Waymo one, because we already know that Uber doesn't have an answer to this problem.
We do, but I'm talking about the Gary Blacks of the world.
Yeah, but do we need him to come around? I mean,
he just represents, a large fraction of the investing market. So I'm saying that we'll be contending, on the CNBC shows with the point that, Uber still, got 100 times more miles driven per day than Tesla does. And so, it's just a matter of time. Tesla killer.
Maybe, but I feel like that narrative's already changed on CNBC. I think everyone is aware of what's happening now. I think they're on the edge of their seats waiting to strike. And what they're waiting for is Tesla to show, hey, we're actually scaling this, we're confident, we're moving, like now we can move into cities the way we print cars. Right? I think that's what they're waiting for, and for the feasibility of it. And so to me, I think once they show that they're doing that, it's cooked. Uber's done. And that's what's going to be the impression. But then it's going to be like, well, how many cities are you compared to Waymo? Right. And I think that will be a story that gets phased out real quickly. Like, I think that's why I think the stock will run before we ever see NVIDIA type earnings, because it'll be very clear that everyone can see, everyone will experience it, everyone will be in a city in Austin, in LA, wherever, and they're gonna be like, oh my God, look at all these cybercabs. And that will happen before you get the crazy numbers. So people will be able to see it, experience it. You didn't have that with NVIDIA. You couldn't see all the chips ahead of time. Yeah. But you couldn't see all the chips ahead of time, right? But with Tesla, it's a little different. When you look everywhere, like, oh my God, like, look at all these cybercabs. I don't know. I just think it'll be different.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a contrarian view on all of this, by the way.
Oh, you're gonna bring the mood down. The stock's already down. Why do we gotta bring the mood down here?
Sorry, guys. I mean, so first, okay, let's get started. I do have the Uber, Gary Black's Uber thing. I've got that ready to show you guys. But
show it. He blocked me a long time ago, so I can't see anything.
I mean, it's simple. A lot of people are Uber investors, and so he just reported what Uber said on the conference call. The Dara Khosrowshahi said this, right? We view the introduction of EVs an overall growth driver. Blah 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 blah. We have it all. We have EVs. We are seeing AVs on our platform, significantly higher utilization. And look at the partnerships. We got partnerships with everybody: Waymo, NVIDIA, Neuro, Lucid. We're expected to be in 15 cities by the end of this year. That's what the CEO said. So he says we're going to be just fine. Okay, that's the narrative, right? The narrative is Uber, AVs is going to take over autonomous vehicles. We've got partnership with everybody. They'll all be able to do what Tesla's doing, and we're going to be just fine. We'll be in 15 cities. That's their thing. Okay. So my contrarian view is that everything I just showed you, those are not catalysts. Those are milestones. Catalysts for stock, all of them are built in. Okay. Maybe a little bit, slowly, the stock realization. It's not going to be like, oh my God, they're in 2 cities now. Remember when everybody said, oh, the day that they removed that, the monitor, that's a catalyst. No, it's already built in. It's expected already. Well, a lot of people did. I asked this question like a million times. So a million people. Okay, let me use proper words. A lot of my guests, in fact, almost all of them, I asked them, what is the catalyst for Robotaxi? And this is the most common answer. And it didn't happen. I mean, it may be a little bit. So a catalyst for stock has to be something that is surprising, that no one expected to happen. If that comes, that's a catalyst. Or earnings. Quarter upon quarter. You got to
Well,
pull people through the teeth
just
before that
scaling.
happens.
Yeah.
Just scaling.
That's all they need.
As scale happens, I think the stock will slowly rise, but not like a pop or anything like that. It's
I
just
think it'll be a pop.
okay. I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I hear. I did a whole thing one time where I went and looked back because I used to be called the Milestones guy. I'd have all the milestones mapped out from the beginning of IPO to now. And I overlaid it to the stock of when it jumped. And after earnings calls, that's when you see not only a little pop, but a continued growth in like a total re-rating if there was a really incredible earnings call. That was the only thing. The others, Elon said some crazy thing, maybe a small little dip for that one day or something that doesn't really last for long. Product announcements never do anything. They rarely do anything. Oh, here's a brand new Roadster. Nothing. People are, you've got to be totally shocked and it's got to be out there. So, I think over as that's the whole thing about Tesla, though, right? Milestone, milestone, milestone. And we're like going, God, don't you see the world? Can't you see what we see happening? No. Stock pops, stock games once they've actually launched it. But when Tesla launches things, that's the difference between what they do and everyone else. When they launch a product, it's at scale. Like when they build their factories, they're building this robot factory, it's going to be 1 million per year. And then the one that they're building in Texas that they're building now, they're starting to dig, it's going to be 10 million a year. But for the next 3 years, we see nothing until it comes out and then it goes out in big numbers. So I just am not going to expect the stock to pop necessarily unless there's some surprise.
All right.
That's the big
Mark
thing.
my words. Once we start to see Tesla scale, meaning before we see all the crazy earnings, once we start to see Tesla go city to city to city, and they're putting in more and more cars, and you have wait times equivalent to Uber, mark my words, we pop.
Listen, we're at 400 right now.
Well, speaking of that,
People were talking about 500 like 2 weeks ago. It was like, we're going to hit 500. Yeah, I mean, I know the stock is very volatile, so I'm not in any way dishing on this. This is temporary. It'll go pop back up. But to pop, meaning to say break through all-time highs and really be seen as a leader in a space that's going to win it. You and I already know it's happened. It's already happened. But
just real quick, before we get too far off from the Gary Black post, can you bring that up real quick? I just want, this is why he always looks stupid. Now plus 2% pre-market. Yeah. Now in real market, down 5%. It's just saying.
Yeah. I mean, he's listening to the call. They believe that Uber has a path to success. You think Uber will be the first to be realized that they don't. I think it is sheep's in wolf clothing or whatever the king that has like he thinks he's got all the clothes.
Emperor who has no clothes. Yeah.
Bless Dara. He's doing everything he's supposed to do. He's doing a very good job. He's saying the right things.
Good narrative.
He's trying to make partnership. Like the guy is he's a CEO. Like he's the guy you want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He says the right things. He's smooth. He's calm. But I'm telling you, I guarantee you, he's like shaking. Like, what the hell are we gonna do?
Well, he sold over 2/3 of his own stock. So look at what he's doing.
Yeah. I just wanted to circle back. You said you've asked a lot of your guests what they think the catalysts are, and when we have talked about this, I need to go back and look at the receipts, but I'm pretty sure my answer when you asked me that question was that it's all about Cybercab, production start, and ramp. That's the only thing that matters.
I remember,
when we go back and look at the history of Tesla stock, it has, it's a story with a couple of parts. There is pre-Model S, then there's Model S production. Then you see, hey, this is an awesome car. You get the awards. best car of the year. That is exciting, but it doesn't move the stock a whole lot. And then boom, profitability. And then the stock goes crazy. And so that's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is basically digestion from there all the way until 2019 through the whole Model 3 production hell. That is such a capital intensive period of the history. It's looks so ugly that even when we get to the other side of that, people are like, well, I don't know, what Tesla has in store. And then we launch Shanghai and we launch the Model Y, and then boom, we get to the next completely re-rating of the stock, and that gets us into the digestion that we've had ever since then until now. And so you need these like big things that they shatter the old paradigm of what Tesla is. And while for both the Model S and the, Model Y / Shanghai rollout, where you did see those big jump ups in earnings, I think I agree with Nick that this time, because we are so primed as a market to look for these amazing applications of AI, that we will not have to get all the way to earnings for Cybercab. But if you can show that Cybercab is basically a viral growing product with no limitations to, like, no huge limitations to scaling, that will get rewarded in the public markets as being, okay, the next big, narrative shattering price re-rating event has happened. And I think that could happen as early as 2026, definitely in 2027 at the latest. I think as long as the scale, like if we really start production in April and we're going through first hundreds, then thousands, then up to 10,000 Cybercabs per week being manufactured, then people, everyone's already done the math already. Like, they know what this can be worth. And so it's just a matter of, can you show me the cars being deployed in the real world, operating safely, and then that we can scale to all of the different places. So I think those operational milestones are where the re-rating happens this time.
Herbert, I thought of another one that Randy had asked me that I actually thought was a pretty good one. So be curious to hear what you guys say. When do you guys think FSD unsupervised will be available for everybody? Like, give me month and year.
Next year.
Yeah, I was thinking Q1 next year.
Okay.
It's on the other side of Robotaxi.
There will be in Austin sometime this year. They'll say certain number of people, if you own a car, you can be supervised if you're within the Austin geofenced area, unsupervised. They'll kind of like do that as a proof of concept that it can happen. But that's it.
Yeah. But so the question was like everywhere. And what I told him was that at earliest end of 2027. Because to me, there's a everywhere. There's a big difference, or there's two big hurdles for FSD unsupervised for everyone to use. The first is just the logistics of robotaxis will have command centers, right? A support system, etc. And those are going to be there to facilitate the robotaxi network. They're not going to be there to facilitate Herbert just using his vehicle. So there's a risk there, right? What happens in certain situations. But then the other one is, especially if you're using, really any Tesla that's being made now, it's a 3 or Y, and you wouldn't want someone sitting behind the driver's seat if they're going to use that. Because what happens if Hans falls asleep and all of a sudden he gets startled by a pothole or something? Nope. I think I'm funny. Sorry. Didn't mean to bring up a sore memory.
It was a giant chunk of concrete, not a pot.
Oh, okay. My bad. He gets startled by a giant chunk of concrete, and he accidentally gets up and like hits the brake, or accidentally hits the steering wheel, but he was just like sleeping. Like, then what happens? So you don't want someone behind the steering wheel. You're not going to have the infrastructure for command center for everybody. So I think those are kind of limiting factors. And I love what you said, Herbert, which is probably how it's going to happen. Areas that have robotaxi already, as they get comfortable scaling that, and with peak demand, low demand, all that, they'll probably open up to people to be able to use their cars in those areas. But really, why would you do that? You're better off just limiting it.
The way it works in some Chinese automakers, I guess there's two ways that they do it. One is for autonomous vehicles, that is robotaxis that have steering wheels, they cordon it off with glass, plastic, plexiglass. You cannot even get into that area because if you touch the steering wheel, you can take over.
But that's robotaxi, right?
That's a robotaxi.
Yeah.
But the other way that they've done it, other cars, is that even if you take over the steering wheel and you take over, the car still is in autonomous driving, and it will still not let you do, like,
Yeah, but you can't.
You let go again, it goes back onto autonomous. So that could be how they handle something like that.
But you can't do anything about the brake.
I mean, once you do supervised, it's like you're trusting this car is better driver than you. It'll just take over, and your input are.
Yeah, but if it's a mechanical brake, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, and they figured out a way. I mean, even now with the steering wheel, now you cannot move that steering wheel today, Model Ys. If you go into a Model Y in Robotaxi and you try to move that steering wheel, it doesn't move.
Yeah.
So that's not steer by wire. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, like these are just things I think they would have to solve. I mean, you could easily say, like, I mean, I don't know if regulators will allow this, but if you say, hey, you have to remove the brake pedal, you can only use regen braking. You know, like that'd be one way you could solve that. But I don't know. My thing is, I think we're unsupervised FSD is way further away, and it's the last priority. I know everybody wants it, and it'd be nice. I get it. I agree. It'd be nice, but I think there could be a middle ground where it says, like, hey, as long as you're awake, yeah, you can be unsupervised. You can work on your computer. You can be on your phone. You can play games, but you can't go to sleep. We can't risk that. So.
Okay. Other than Cybercab, what other rollout? That's a good one.
Well, how about what are the catalysts? The catalyst is us here. You seen the stock? You seen the stock market? We are the catalyst.
What's happened to it?
Well, don't look at it. You're going to crash it. Just trust me.
I thought I was
are
the catalyst. No,
catalyst. Nick is the catalyst.
No, we.
I'm not the catalyst, apparently.
I
can't look at it.
There's no me without we.
What?
It's Team Dream Team over here.
Except it's just you.
H&H. Team H&H.
All right, so here we are.
We're going to make t-shirts, say H&H. You guys can buy at the merch store. Team H&H.
It's Hans and Franz. Hans and Franz.
We make the stocks recover. It's what we do.
We make stocks recover. I do not know. So any other catalyst, guys? I mean,
Hans, what do you got? I mean, I think that's it. Like, I think, like, as far as when we say catalyst, I like to think we're talking about the stock. So to me, if we're correlating stock, it's Robotaxi, and I agree with Hans. It's scale of Cybercab production, because they're not going to scale that and just put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about that? Okay, I haven't asked you two because I've asked everyone else the same question, which is, let's assume that SpaceX merges with Tesla. Okay. Let's assume it's pre-IPO. Let's say sometime before June, because it could happen this year. I mean, that's a very small chance. But let's say it does.
I'm with Chamath. I think if it happens at all, it'll happen this year, and it'll have to be a reverse merger.
Which means that no IPO, which means it can happen even like soon. And if it does happen, is that good news for us stock shareholders? Would the stock go up? Would the stock go down? What would happen?
Yes, it'll do both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll give you my opinion, but I don't know what will happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
To me, there's two world models that you operate by. Either you're selfish, short-term thinking, greedy, and you think, no, I don't want this right now. It'll potentially dilute me a little bit, whatever. Or you can think bigger picture. You understand the concept of 1 + 1 = 3. In other words, I have this microphone, I have this stand, I have this internet connection, I have this laptop, I have these friends. All of them alone don't produce any value. All together create value, right? That's 1 + 1 = 3. And that's what Elon is known for. And so to me, yeah, maybe it dilutes Tesla shareholders, but Tesla shareholders then get a part of a much bigger thing, right? A bigger picture, a bigger vision of what can be, and I think that's more exciting. So I always operate under the bigger picture. And again, I'm also a shill for Elon. You know, I mean, I'll criticize him, of course. I criticize the hell out of him after the earnings call, but I think measuredly he tends to always be right, and I lean towards people who are right a lot. It's like literally one of my favorite leadership principles that can exist is being right a lot, or as Elon says, be less wrong. So if that person thinks that, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, who am I to deny it? So those are my thoughts. I think long term we go up.
I think we did, cover some of this ground on Friday, but one of the things, I said I don't know what it'll do in the short term, and I was focused on long term. I'm excited about how all of that coming together could redefine the ceiling on the markets and TAMs that Tesla's going after, and it would be an exceptionally good thing. So if we do see the merger, that will then obviously answer the one question I had around is like, I don't know how to quantify all of the risks, and I'm just going to trust Tesla's management to do all their due diligence on that and pick the right path. If that's the path that they pick and we go that direction, then I will just agree with them that was the best, path from a risk mitigation standpoint. And I will go ahead and add to that I think short term, while I do know that the lack of focus that there's a lot of Wall Street people that hate these conglomerates. They don't think that the sum is greater than, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. They like to see individual things. They like pure plays. There are going to be some people that are turned off. There's going to be some people that don't want to, like SpaceX is an incredibly important, and now with XAI, even more so, incredibly important defense prime. And so there's going to be outflows based on all of those things. But I think the net inflows are going to surpass the net outflows because it definitively shows that there's only going to be one Musk Industries, that if you want to buy the Musk option, you're only going to have the one option. You're not going to have another thing in the public markets where you can have exposure to that. That's going to be one. And then there's a lot of risk on assets internationally. We talked earlier about how the PIF has got to be kicking themselves for not owning Tesla outright. And I think that groups like this, are going to be investing large sums of money into this. I think all of the nation states that find themselves caught in the middle between the United States and China are going to have skin in the game to want to strengthen these types of efforts to reindustrialize the United States, to be able to secure their national interests against an expansionist China. And so, yeah, I think that on net that it will end up being pretty positive for the stock of that combined mega company in the short to medium term. And then on top of that, we'll sprinkle in, there's going to be a lot of earned media through new attack vectors against this whole thing of just new people that hate it, new people that want to come out against it for this reason, that reason, and the other reason. And it'll generate even more media chaos and circus than it ever has in the past.
Can I real quick, Herbert? Hans just remind me of this, and I've been saying this on all the podcasts I've been on since we last met last Friday. When we were on last Friday, I told you guys I don't think it's going to happen, right? Like, I think it's just rumors, whatever. Then that evening, I sat down on my couch with my baby, just sitting there, snuggling up, and I was watching the All In podcasts, or listening to the All In podcasts. And we're 55 minutes in, and all of a sudden, Chamath and Jason start talking about it. It's literally like 30 seconds. I clipped it out. I posted it on X last night, and I watched like 3 times. I'm like, oh, these effers know something. Like that's how
They
it
do.
came
They
off
know
to
something.
me.
Mhm.
Like
No, they
it
do.
literally came off to me as like, I mean, especially with
Yep.
Jason, like, yep, no, yep, we don't know. He was doing like, I was like, what the hell? So after that, I was like, oh, okay, it's happening. Like something's happening. So I just want to at least put on the record that I changed my mind from last time because I watched that.
The Tesla merger. No,
Yeah.
that is a done deal. I mean, that Kathy Wood of ARK Invest kind of talked about it the few days before.
Oh, did she?
Then the XAI and Tesla XAI and SpaceX merged.
I
These
didn't know that.
guys, of course, they're obviously in the know, and they know what was about to happen.
Is that
This
where she
whole
said it?
idea of SpaceX and XAI merging with Tesla, that's a done deal, right?
That was a good joke.
Everything you hear from Elon, all his posts, he likes a lot of people's posts, and the general public don't see those likes, but I've seen a lot of them. It's very clear at this point that this is done. That he's found a way that he's going to merge all three of his companies together, and he's going to call it X, and he's going to own the X ticker. That is just, I think a done deal. The question is it pre-IPO, post-IPO? What's going to happen to Tesla stock? Okay, right now it's a merger of equals if it happens now, but the appetite for SpaceX is so high that they're at $8 trillion today. If they go IPO, some people are saying that's going to pump to 1.5 trillion. Forget the fact that they only have 8 billion of profit. Like you're talking about sky high PE ratio. That would be sky high PE ratio. And then what would happen if they're worth 1.5 trillion, 2 trillion, and we're like at what are we now? 1.2? Yeah, we're at 1.27 trillion right now. It's like no, he's got to get it done. He's got to get it done now when we're kind of about the same spot. And so I have no doubt at this point that Elon intends to merge the three companies.
You heard it here first.
No, I think there's a lot of people who are saying this. Obviously, but there's some people are still wondering. Like I think, I mean,
SpaceX to
Baird
take Tesla
analyst
private at $4.20 and 69 cents.
Wouldn't that be glorious?
That would be the ultimate perfect solution.
Loves irony.
Here's the thing, right? Okay, so and I'm doing a show on this, and I've examined it left and right center. I've got great comments. So,
Previews.
not from me, from a lot of people.
Oh.
SpaceX doesn't. This is what Jeff Lutz says. Okay, if SpaceX goes public, okay, and they got the bankers all lined up. So this is on path that they might do this.
We don't know
But
that.
if they
We
do,
don't know what the bankers are lined up for. Everyone just keeps assuming it's that. We don't know what they're lined up for.
It's fair. But let's say they go public, though. Imagine when you go public, you have to share all your data and details. And SpaceX is pretty, if Tesla is a public company, reverse merges it, he can keep that semi-private. That was a comment that Jeff Lutz made, and I think that was spot on. That makes a ton of sense. If he's able to somehow turn it both private, which I don't think is going to happen, I don't think that would be just like perfect for him. But I doubt it. That ain't going to be the case.
New cap table. Yeah. I like the idea of the reverse merger, but the only thing about that is we would have to have we'd have to have an emergency shareholder vote. It'd have to be majority. I mean, obviously, between you, Alexandra, everybody, we've been practicing.
It's going to be a tough battle. This one's a tough battle.
Everything's been practicing for this moment.
Yes, true. Because when we were voting for Elon's CEO performance package, that's like a no-brainer. Retail all on board. They did it. Here, 50% plus one share you need to win. And the problem is that if people do not vote, if they abstain, that's considered a no.
Yeah.
So to be able to get the 50% plus one, this is like all retail needs to come out and support this. And then I'm not so sure that every retail wants to merge with SpaceX. I think they are literally, I bought into this company because of sustainable energy. Now we're not even doing that anymore. Now we're going to do space. It's like their brain's broken, right? They don't know what the hell Tesla is anymore.
Gentlemen, I got to jump. I'll leave you with the stock market recovering. We did it. It wasn't me. It wasn't you. It was us. It was this trio.
Mm.
So
A
go us.
little dip there. Now that we're about to leave, that the little dip. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks all.